Hi folks, we're back in our offices in Nashville this week. This is my office where I write my tunes, here at my piano. And we're just thinking about the conference this week. It's a big week for our conference. And one of the things we're doing this year in the conference is we're transitioning from the Psalms to the Gospels, to the life of Christ. All our writing team are busy writing lots and lots of songs and creating what we're going to call the Life of Christ Quintology, 30 hymns, helping us understand the life and work of Christ. 30 hymns, some old, some you'll have heard before, and some new ones that we hope you can teach to your congregations, to your families, and grow old. It's one of the things we're most excited about this year. When we think about Christian history after the Reformation, English-speaking Christian history essentially, there was a point in time where we moved from singing the Psalms to actually singing hymns about Christ. And the single biggest influencer in that was Isaac Watts, the godfather of English hymnody. He was born in 1674, and he was challenged by his dad to write better music. He was fed up with church music, and of course there was the liturgical traditions of chanting the Psalms as part of the liturgy of the service. Then of course Luther, Calvin, John Knox in Scotland had all got everybody singing metrical psalms, and Watts wanted to take the Psalms and write them helping us understand the Christ perspective in them in a more obvious way. And so we started writing these hymns. You will know Joy to the World and Jesus Shall Reign as being some of these hymns. And we've tried to bring Jesus Shall Reign back as part of our initiative with the Global Hymn Sing to get people singing about mission and the urgency with which we need to address that. And just a couple of things about Isaac Watts. I was thinking about it, and I was actually sharing at our church on Sunday night. I had to give a 10-minute talk at Village Chapel here just on the importance of Isaac Watts. And here's what I thought. First of all, when we come to sing these hymns, people go, why are we singing hymns? Why don't we just sing modern worship songs? We don't sing them because they're old. We don't sing them because we're being nice to the old people in the church. We don't sing them because we've got some curious kind of Midnight in Paris obsession with a previous generation. We sing them because they're excellent. They're extraordinary works of art. Isaac Watts was one of the most brilliant minds. He turned down Oxford and Cambridge because he wasn't an Anglican, which was the law at the time. But interestingly, Cambridge used his book on logic until the beginning of the 19th century, right up to almost the First World War. Cambridge were using his book on logic, so brilliant was he. One of Britain's most wonderful poets of his generation, and an extraordinary mind. If you think of something like Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland or Charles Dickens's David Copperfield, these all had huge influence of Isaac Watts. So wonderful with these guys. So we stand on the shoulders, the tall shoulders, of these extraordinary Christians who brought their artistic excellence. And artistic excellence is important. When I think about all the things I did this weekend with my girls, they were all wonderful. But the chance to, but there's so many of those things as they grow older they'll forget. Yet we have the chance to ourselves and with our children and our congregations and plant great hymns and beautiful poetry that will actually go with them their whole life. So encouraging you, artistic things are not neutral. They're extraordinarily important. And do encourage those people who are in the arts in your churches. Secondly, Isaac Watts was an educator. Like his book on logic, similarly then when he wrote hymns, he wanted to teach people to understand how Christ is the center of the universe, how Christ is the only need for the universe, how the gospel fuels everything. And so Jesus Shall Reign was actually Psalm 72, the second half of the psalm from verses 9 to 19. And so he took that and rephrased it. And we had the privilege of reading that psalm last week at an event for the persecuted church with our friends Joshua Yusuf, and just to be with believers from around the world, many of whom have lost everything, lost their family, lost their homes, lost their sense of security, lost their national identity, all lost their names in some cases, and yet they sing with passion these hymns. So it was amazing to think of that hymn and to read that hymn. Kristen read the psalm, and we sang it with them last weekend, and we did it last year at the Global Hymn Sing. Anyway, I'm just going to give you a little feel for it. It's the same. We take the old verse, the Duke Street verse, and then we added a chorus to it. So it goes, Jesus shall reign wherever doth its success journeys. His kingdom's far from shore to such a we told this story back at the time of the hymn sing, but my favourite story about this song is, of course, the story of Eric Liddell, who sang this at Waverley Station in Scotland, right beside the train station, right beside Balmoral Hotel on the clock there, back a year after, just less than a year after he left to move to China, and thinking about believers all around the world. And indeed a marvellous work of the Lord that has been done in China. So it's a wonderful hymn which celebrates God's sovereign rule over the world, the hope that He's returning, and the promise that it is for the whole world. So a great hymn to sing about the gospel, to celebrate Christ, and to celebrate the nations, and encourage us in our missional work. One final question this week, I just wanted to, on a side note, I wanted to mention Easter. People have been asking me a lot, what do you recommend for Easter? I'm going to talk more about that next week, but if you are planning, of our new songs, we've been using Lord from Sorrows, and then My Worth Is Not in What I Own again, quite a lot in terms of Lent and Good Friday material. And actually the two new hymns, Magnificent, Marvellous, and I Will Wait For You, both work really well on Easter Sunday. So if you're looking for some Easter material, that's there. Also watch out if you want to come and be part of the conference. We're going to be doing all those songs at the conference this year. Just been to the Bridgestone Arena and scoped out that whole event. It's opening with John Donne's poem, Wouldst Thou Forgive, that evening at the Bridgestone Arena, and into Isaiah 40 with Pedro Eostache, playing the guy who played the Passion of the Christ will be there that night playing that. And then it's going to go into I Will Wait For You as we open this extraordinary evening, celebrating the resurrection. More of that to come. But thanks for your time today, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.